nothing for you I could ever change. 'Cause every time you look up to the sky, realize that you are only looking in the mirror.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Authentic Amigas. My name is Valerie.
And I'm Florencia. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 10 now. Is it 11? 10?
10. We're on episode 10.
Episode 10 of our podcast. I'm so sorry I didn't know exactly which one it was.
No, that's good. That means we've been consistent. That means that, like, the fact that we can't even keep track anymore.
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing, but we are on episode 10 of our podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't checked us out on our social medias yet, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Authentic Amigas. You can also find us streaming on multiple platforms. Right now we are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you have any other platforms that you listen on, let us know and we can definitely get there as well. But check us out. If you want to keep up with us, personally, Val and I, Val, where can they find you?
You can find me at Valerie Pamela on Instagram. I just recently changed my usernames on all my social media accounts, so now it's Valerie Pamela. It's basically like it's Valerie Pamela, but Valerie Pamela in Spanish. That's my Instagram. That's my Twitter. You can find my business account on Valerie Pamela _. We're working on just getting the Valerie Pamela, but that's a work in progress. And also, if you are watching our podcast right now on YouTube or listening, you're also watching because this should be by now, hopefully, crossing our fingers, you should be able to see our faces.
Hey, we've been a long time coming. We've said so many times that we've been trying to do this. Hopefully here we are. If not, whatever. I think we're here. Yeah, just like we do every week, and that's what matters. But thank you so much for tuning in. For this
Where can they find you?
Oh shit, I didn't even say anything. Sorry. My accounts are all at Florencia Galvan. I think that TikTok is at Florencia Galvan _, but they're all pretty much at Florencia Galvan. So check us out there.
Yay! And follow her on Twitter.
Oh hell no! You always gotta bring out the trash, don't you? Oh my god, I love Twitter though. But yeah. This week we are super excited to have this going. Again, if you're watching the visual, I'm like outlining the box where you can see me.
I'm like, wait, let me do my Disney thing. Hi, my name is Valerie Pamela from Valerie Pamela, and you're watching Authentic Amigas. Hopefully you got to see that.
The sparkle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're super excited to be here for another week's episode. How are you doing? Today we have a topic in mind for today's episode. We want to talk a little bit about business, but specifically we want to talk about business lessons and AKA business failures, you might want to call them, but we're gonna get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we get into that, how are you doing? How has your week been?
Let's see. It's Wednesday, so it's currently Wednesday. We're filming on a Wednesday. It was just Pink Friday a couple of days ago. Yeah, so we had a Pink Friday special little thing going on for a couple of days actually. So it was called Pink Friday, but she lasted from like Tuesday to Sunday morning. But it's been good. It's been really good. Just really busy, but like all like really good things. Just trying to keep up with orders, and I've gotten to meet new people because of Pink Friday. Like, we got new customers, and that's my favorite part. This best friend. My favorite part of like having my business, like the Valerie Pamela business, is getting to meet people. So yeah, it's been good. Everything's good. Just trying to stay balanced and actually, I had a big breakdown right before that, though. I'm like, right before Pink Friday, though, things were not okay, but things are good now.
Yeah.
How about you?
We'll get into it all.
Oh, yeah, we will. How about your best friend? How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling good right now. I had a nice drink right now before we started the podcast. I had something to give me a little bit of energy. This week I've been trying to just I don't know. I feel like I'm always trying to get my life in order. We started off the week with a really good workout, so that's like a huge accomplishment for me. And yeah, I'm just hanging in there. Just went back to work from a week off for Thanksgiving. So it was really nice to have that time at home to like sleep in and like, just catch up with myself. I started reading 2 new books again, which is like a huge thing for me because I haven't read in so long, probably since the summertime, which I'm ashamed to admit because reading is like a priority for me. It's just that amidst all my other priorities, sometimes I don't have time for it.
Right.
So I started reading one book I had already started, but only a few pages in. So I picked that one up again, and then I started reading a new book. So I'm working on 2 books right now. So that's a huge accomplishment for me.
That's big. That's
Yeah,
so good.
I know. I'm trying to prioritize things like that, even if like I got other things to do, because it's important to
Right.
me. So I'm trying to make time. But that's probably the highlight of my week. But
Right.
just hanging in there as well.
Dude, I'm so proud of you. That's awesome.
Thanks, best friend.
Yeah, of course. I recently just joined this little like book pyramid scheme.
Oh, I saw you post about that.
Yeah, so basically I'm calling it a
Pyramid
pyramid.
scheme.
I'm calling it a pyramid scheme because although like the intention is beautiful, somebody's gonna end up without a book at the end. I don't know who it's gonna be. But I was trying to stop the pyramid scheme, so I was trying to get like the person that responded to me to just like let me get them the book so that everyone is just like, the
Even.
even and the pyramid scheme's over. But she said no. But yeah, so I'm part of a book pyramid scheme. Basically, like I said, the intention is good. The intention is like you get a book for somebody. So basically, like my cousin had posted on her Instagram, like, hey, who wants to send a book, be a part of like this thing where we're sending a book to like you're sending a book to somebody and then you receive a book from somebody else. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, me. And I completely forgot about it. I forgot, but basically I'm sending a book to somebody, like one of her friends, and then somebody, I don't know how it works, but anyways, it's a chain.
Everybody just like passes one down.
Exactly, and we just send it to one another, so it'll be fun. Yeah, so also reading is also a big one that's gonna start happening. I just picked up my book again recently. It's actually in here somewhere being used as like a holder for something, but
A laptop stand maybe.
yeah, but I also picked up a book and it feels good. It feels really refreshing to read a little bit, so yay, reading.
I'm like,
Okay. I know. Well, today we're going to talk about something that we both kind of experience in different ways, but have both gone through some stuff in this certain topic. And I think we both feel like it's important to talk about because oftentimes, like we were saying, the word failure is looked at in a negative way. And I personally, I don't know if you feel the same way. I think you do, but I personally disagree with that. I don't think we should be looking at the word failure as bad. I think with failure comes so many valuable lessons. And I always say you can't buy lessons. No matter like how much money in the world you have, you can't buy an experience. You can't buy the lessons that you learn from failing. You can't. Like, yeah, you could read about it, but it's not the same as like going through it and experiencing it yourself. So let's start off there by just mentioning that when we use the word failure throughout this podcast, know that it's not in a negative light whatsoever, and that as we speak on these things that we're about to talk on, they're all coming from a good place, and it's coming from a place of us being grateful. Do you agree, best friend? How do you feel about that so far?
oh, definitely. Coming from a place of us being grateful, but also you started off by saying like we think it's important to talk about this, and I just want to say that again because everybody always wants to like, if we sometimes get lost because like on Instagram, social media, I say Instagram specifically, but social media in general, we kind of get the wrong idea of like what people's lives look like and what people's business ventures look like, and we only see the highlights. People only post like the successes of their business, and hardly ever do you see people posting about like the hard things that they go through, the mistakes that they make, etc. Like every now and then, like you'll see it, but it's not the norm, I would say. And so I just want to talk about that a little bit because it's hard, especially when you have nobody like to look up to or to guide you in that respect. It's hard to manage that. And we're going to be talking today specifically about business, but we can talk about personal failure a whole other day. That will be like another episode. But Brett, today we're going to be talking about business failures, lessons learned in business, and our own personal experiences with that in particular.
Yeah. So a little background. I currently am running 2 of my own businesses. I only share one publicly, like, because it's ran on Instagram. My other one does not run on Instagram. So I don't really do too much on that. It has an Instagram though. It doesn't function on Instagram. That's not its main platform. So that's why I don't speak too much about that, but I have one business on Instagram, one business off Instagram, and then my dad has his own business as well. So just kind of, it's all around me. And then best friend, you got a resume yourself too.
Yeah, my dad runs his own business as well. He has for maybe the last 7 or 8 years of my life. He hasn't always been like well, at least consecutively. When I was younger, he had his own businesses as well, but not consistently, like all the way through my life. But the last 8 years or so have been consistent. He's owned his own business, ran that 100%. I've been involved with running another business on my own that was like another project with somebody else. And then I wouldn't call Authentic Amigas like a business or anything like that, but it's for sure like a project that we manage as well. So that one's for both of us as well. But yeah, I think that we both had our fair share of like exposure to that, to what it looks like to start up a business, at least a little bit.
Yes. And I think and anybody that is in business right now, or has gone through something related, has family members, anything like, just something about business, that when you have your own business, it's going to come with a lot. And some of those things include failures. A lot of times, actually, more so than spoken of, we go through our fair share of lessons, aka failures. Some more extreme sometimes than others.
Yeah.
Different levels as well. Different stuff all around. But today we're going to talk about those, and we're going to be as vulnerable as we can be. I take a lot of pride in my work. I'll just be really honest. I take a lot of pride in my work, but I've been trying to challenge myself most recently to be more vulnerable about the mistakes I make. And it's not easy to do that because when you just never know who's watching. Some people who watch, some people who listen have good intentions, but others don't, right? It's just how the world works. So it's really scary to be vulnerable about something that you take a lot of pride in when you make an error, like when you make an error, when you fail in that area. It's hard. It's not easy, but I'm gonna knock those walls down. We're both gonna knock those walls down today and just keep it real with you. It's not always sunshine and butterflies and clouds. There's more to it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of hard work. I'll just start off by saying that my first lesson learned in running a business is that it's fucking hard. Like, I already knew that because my dad is like a super hard worker, and I grew up like watching him, like no matter if he was tired, hungry, in pain, whatever, like running, showing up every day for his businesses, right? So I already kind of knew that, but you don't actually really know until you do it yourself, I think. At least for me, like you said, a lot of people can learn from others super easily and just by watching others like pick up all the lessons. And I pick up lessons from others too, but I pick up the most valuable lessons from just going through the dirt and the mud myself.
Right.
So I don't know if you're the same way.
No, 100%.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, I already knew that it was kind of hard to run a business, but until you're actually involved in it, it's like I couldn't have imagined. Like, it's another level. And I think now having been involved in a business, which I've brought up before, I think we've brought it before on the podcast. Actually, like around a year ago, I was involved in running a business with another person, and it was like a clothing boutique. And I think we did it probably for a little over 6 months or around 6 months. I don't remember, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It felt like I don't know how to say this. It felt like, you know, when you're like a kid and you're playing like computer games and you're like dressing up Barbies and
Yeah.
like the My Scene dolls on like the computer. That's what it felt like.
Did you say my scene?
Yeah, My Scene. You remember them?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. What I would do, I'm like, quick side story. What I would do when I was in like elementary school and we would go to the computer lab is I would like go on my scene, like I would have a my scene tab and then I would have like the assignment we were working on. And as soon as my teacher would turn around, I would go on my scene because back then they didn't block those things, right? And so I would go on my scene and that's all I would do. And then like
I'm dead.
I never got my work done in that class and my mom was like, why is it like, why aren't you getting work done? And it was because I was on my scene.
I'm freaking dead.
That's a true story. But anyway, yeah, it was like playing. I'm like, sorry. So you said
Yeah,
it was
so
like playing my
it
scene.
was so fun. It felt like I was playing like a video game or like a computer game where I was like
Yeah.
dressing up and like just we would go like looking for like new inventory and stuff, and it was so freaking fun, like just going places and like seeing all that there was. Like we'd go to like downtown and like scope out like things that we wanted to pick up. So fun. And it was also a lot of hard work. And I had just started working at that time. And then it felt like I would work like during the day and then I would come home from work and like I have to take advantage of the daylight to like take photos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was mostly running like the social media content and stuff like that. And honestly, what I feel like what my biggest takeaway from that experience is that I have to feel very connected to anything that I do. Like I know we talk about this very often, like anything that I do, I invest myself in like 100%. And so it's really, really hard for me to do something that's only that feels like
yourself 120%.
yeah, it's really hard to feel like I'm like something is only half mine. Do you know what I mean? And we worked together in everything, you know what I mean? And it was such a good experience. And like I said, I learned something really important about myself along the way. And so I feel like for me that was like probably the biggest like realization is just like I have to, especially with a business, I have to feel like it's 100% like I'm very hands-on, and I know that you're the same way when it comes to your business.
Yeah.
I'm super hands-on, like when it comes to like what is the website going to look like, what is the social media going to look like, what does a package look like when somebody opens it, like what is the type of message that they're getting if they DM us, like all of those things matter a lot to me, and I feel like I need to be doing all of it myself, which is why I sometimes like ask myself like whether I'll be able to have a business while also working full time, because of course, like I'd love to have, you know, my own business of another kind one day.
Yeah.
But I also have like my full-time job in my career, which is like very, very important to me at the moment too.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like there were not enough hours in the day for me to pay attention to like all of the details that I wanted to do, you know? And yeah, I mean, there was no like hard moment where I was like, oh my God, like what a huge like loss. But I think for me, the biggest like realization of that was just, I need to be like fully committed to anything that I need to have the ability to be fully like rooted in whatever I'm doing. I have to feel like it's like I'm doing something bigger than myself.
Right. So we are talking about fails. So where do you think that, where was the failure? Where if like, where would you pinpoint a failure, or would you at all? Would you say there was any failures? I mean, and again, we're talking about failures in a positive light here,
Yeah, in a really loving way.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh my gosh, she said it failed. Like, you know, they're saying like they failed.
Well, I think that the only failure about it is that I'm not still doing it to this day.
Okay.
I had to like, I think it was a really hard decision for both of us to say like, okay, like this is not what we need to be working on together right now. I think that felt like a huge like personal blow, like at that time when we both made that decision, because it was something that we talked about, obviously, and we got together and we were both like, what do you mean we're just gonna stop? Like, do you know what I mean? We were both on the same, like, kind of like, what? Like, how do we just admit to ourselves that this isn't the project that we want to be running right now? It felt like I was giving up on something, and I feel like I never gave up on anything that big before, you know?
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful. There's so, like, I don't I don't I've never had to personally like shut down something that I've, like, a business that I've started. Um and just thinking about like how to maneuver that, like, there's a lot that goes into that, like mentally and emotionally. Like, that's your baby. When you start a
Mhm.
business, that really does become like your baby. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like you having to say, like, okay, I'm gonna have to put this to the side and pick back up in a different route. Like, this path, like, was a beautiful one. It was a great one. I learned, I grew, I succeeded in the time that it gave me, and the time that I was in it. It was a success, and now it's time to let it go. And that is not an easy thing to do, but it's a powerful thing to do, to be able to do that in business. And I think it's really important to have that, I don't want to say characteristic, but like trait as a business owner, to be able to say, like, this is it, time to move on. There's only so much you can put into something. Like, it's hard, it's really hard. But Mark Cuban, I really do like Mark Cuban as a businessman, as a business person. But he's said multiple times, like, sometimes you have to try out 50 businesses before you find the one
Right.
that
And
works.
I was gonna bring that up as well. Like, one thing that really, really stuck with me ever since I heard it, this is like so random. I couldn't even tell you the name of this interview that I saw, or like the YouTube video where I saw this, but Lily Galici, freaking Lily Lashes,
Mhm.
brand owner, or like person, you know who I'm talking about. She was like, I was watching like an interview with her one time. I don't know if they were like doing her makeup or something. Like, I was just watching a YouTube video and she was in it. And somebody asked her something about like businesses that she didn't follow through with, or like that she only had for a little bit. And she's like, well, yeah, like, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, that's a part of being an entrepreneur. Like, you have multiple different things that you do,
Yeah.
and some of them are going to fail,
Yeah.
and some of them are not going to work out the way you wanted, and some of them are. Like, it's a part of being an entrepreneur. And I feel like once I got that through my head, into
Yeah.
the definition of like what it means to be an entrepreneur, it was so much easier for me to just accept, like, okay, this is not for me right now. This is
Yeah.
not, maybe not the right time, maybe not the right circumstances, and
Yeah.
I'm okay. Like, I'm at peace.
Yeah, this is part of the job. This is literally part of the job. Just how
Right.
part of the job was to get up and post every morning, this is also part of the job sometimes. If you do decide you want to go an entrepreneur route and you want to go into entrepreneurship, definitely
Yeah.
something that comes with it. And you know what? I just said I've never had to shut anything down, but that's not really true. There's been a lot of things that I've tried to do, and you know this. I tried starting a lingerie brand. Um, we both used to do makeup hardcore. Like, I used to
Right.
do makeup hard. Like, I invested so much money into my kit. I
Right.
would travel crazy sometimes to like get to destinations for events. And I stopped doing that. And that was a business. That's a whole business on its own too.
Right.
You're an artist, you're handling, that's a business, period. So yeah, there have been things that I've done in my life, and that I've just, you just kind of have to let go and try something else until you find something that works, and something that fits with the timing that you're in.
Right. And even if it works, maybe it works for 2-3 years and it evolves, or you pick up something else that's more worth your time. Like, that's just part of being a business owner, is like
Yeah.
being, putting your all into your projects, but not feeling like completely tied to one or the other. Like, if what you want to be as an entrepreneur or a business owner in general, like, it's a part of like you said, it's a part of the job.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that from my dad a lot as well. I feel like my dad is super, like I said, super, I don't know, a harder working person, but he's also had his fair share of like, started this, did it for a little while, had a certain team, and then just it it didn't keep going the way that I wanted to. And so at some point just saying like, okay, on to the next, because what I'm putting into like trying to make this survive, if I put it in somewhere else, it's going to thrive. If I, you know what I mean? So you
And
just
that's
need
a
to redirect
skill.
your
That is a
resources.
skill. That is a skill to be able to do that. That is a skill. Again, being an entrepreneur isn't just about being able to be creative and inventive and like all that stuff. It's about, somebody said recently to me, anybody can be a business owner. Literally anybody can be a business owner, but an entrepreneur requires communication skills. It requires it requires A through Z kind of
Yeah.
skills.
There's
That
nothing that you don't do.
exactly, and like you said, sometimes it's about rerouting and redirecting and like figuring out like, okay, if this didn't work, let's see if this works, and if this recipe doesn't work, let's see if this recipe works, and you
Yeah.
figuring it out. I'm like, we're math magicians too. No.
I
Yeah.
can't do math, but
No.
it's a metaphor though.
Yeah, I hope you guys caught that because I also can't do math. I'm like my college algebra teacher listening that like had to teach me 3 times because
I'm
I failed.
freaking dead.
She's like, did
She
she
thumbs
say
downs the video. She thumbs
yeah,
down.
I'm dead. But no, I think there's a lot of power in that. That's right. And thanks for sharing that for sure. Like we said, there's different like ways that failures come with businesses, and um ooh, they come in different shapes and sizes for sure. But they all are lessons. And as you guys know, I have, like I just mentioned, I have 2 of my own businesses, but one that I run strictly on social media, and that one works a little harder. Like it's a little bit more challenging and difficult because when you do kind of have a slip up or something happens, it's kind of public. Like you kind of have to make it public because your whole thing is public. So it's a public company basically, right? Like you can go online and you should be able to search up the numbers and see what's happening, right? Again, a metaphor, but like don't look, not numbers, but you should be able to know what's going on, in my opinion. And recently we talked about, last podcast, I think maybe last podcast, I mentioned how I was dropping a collection,
Which is
and
out now.
which she's out. The Just a Dream collection is out. Part or volume 1 of it is out. And it's going well, but there was a little failure. And basically what happened is the sweater I'm wearing right now, actually, which here it is. We rebranded, by the way. The company is no longer Butterfly Fingers. It's now Valerie Pamela, but that's another story. But basically, I've worked on these sweaters for months, like these sweaters in specific, because they're so important to me. Like the way that I wanted them to just look was really important to me. The design, everything I do is with intention. There's not a single thing really that I do that doesn't have a meaning behind it, even if I don't say it. Like every little thing I try to put intention in. So that's what this hoodie is for me. So something happened to the hoodies. There was a bad chemical reaction with the ink, out of my control, out of my partner's control, out of human control, really, because mistakes happen. And there is a chemical reaction with the ink, and the colors end up changing when they're washed. Um, this isn't anything major for large companies, corporations. It happens to them probably every day. But when you're a small business who's just starting and this is like the very first thing and you put months of time into it, it seems pretty heavy. Like it feels really heavy, especially because this was my first thing, and I worked really hard to try and make it as perfect as possible, and it didn't happen that way. So basically what ended up happening is um, the sweaters are getting remade, and so are the sweats, because for volume 2 we are dropping sweats. Those also have to be made again. Long story short, we have to remake all those items. And again, it seemed like a really big deal at first, and it is a big deal because a lot of time and money
there's the time and the money, which of course, like, devastating loss when, especially when you're a small business. But I think for you, because you feel so like, it's like a little piece of you is like printed onto a hoodie. And so when that little piece of you is like misrepresented or it's flawed in some way where like you saw it perfect in your head, I think that's like the most devastating part, which is so funny because we're so hard on ourselves sometimes. Even as business owners, like as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. I can agree with you there. And that's what it really was too. It's like, it's crazy. It just happens to be that when, I decided to rebrand and like do all this, like the clothing literally has like my name on it. Like, like the clothing literally has like the Valerie Pamela name, like that's the company's name. So, um, I made that decision knowing that from now on till the rest of my existence, even if something happens to Valerie Pamela in the future, whatever happens, it's going to reflect back on me. That's a decision you make when you decide to like name a company or a business after yourself. You decide that like you will now be the face, and everything you do will also like go back on your company and will reflect on your company. And I felt ready to take that decision. It is a big decision, so if anyone out there is wanting to start a business and is struggling with the name and you're just like, I want to name it after me, like, do know like it comes with a big responsibility. um but yeah, so we had to remake these. They're in the process of production right now, actually, literally right now. They are being remade, but it hurt. It sucked. It sucked. I literally cried packing up because I had already organized. Here, let me show you guys. If you this is a visual, if you're watching visually, I'll show you guys. All these are full already. I had been organized by sizes. We're ready to go, and it sucked having to take everything out and repackage. Um, there's always beauty in every struggle, though. Everything's getting donated to people that really, really, I know, need these garments this winter season as it's hella cold. So everything will be donated, which that's what gives me peace at the end of the day, is knowing that these things are going to be going to people that really do need them. And yeah, that's really what gives me peace. um, so that's good. But the lessons learned here, I don't think I could have ever read in a book and understood really what it meant, like all the behind the scenes that went on, because of this incident, which seems so small, but really like in like in a bigger perspective, right? Because if imagine if I would have ordered 10,000 of each garment, right? Like it's still, and something would have happened. It's still like the same concept. Like the lesson is still the same concept. Um, so anyway, that happened. You know what's crazy? I'm not gonna say too much because this could be a really long story, and I don't want to make it too long. But I didn't find out that the garments weren't I don't want to say usable, but weren't sellable until they had already launched. So 2 hours into launch, they were 70% sold out. I didn't realize that I wasn't going to be able to send these out. So just that whole process of having to reach out to everybody, figuring out how I was going to reach out, figuring out what was going to happen, how we were going to remake these, if we were going to be able to remake these, a time frame, the, the budget, the numbers, um, making sure that my customer knows that they are number one priority here. Like, I know a lot of people will disagree with me and they're like, keep yourself first. And yes, I love myself. I'll always try and keep myself first, but like really my clients, like my customers are everything to me, like everything to me. If I have to take the sweater off my back for one of them to be warm, I will. And not like, people don't have to agree with me there, that's okay, but that's just how I am. um but yeah, so that was a lesson. There's lots of lessons there. I again, I can go on, and I'm still currently, as we speak, learning um a lot. Like right now, I'm still trying to process all the lessons learned because of this incident. And I know it's gonna be okay at the end of the day. My brother said something really good to me when this was going on. He was like, again, my brother's a very realistic person. We are very different.
We love Justin.
We do.
Word to Justin, we love you.
We do love him, but he was like, hey, like, this is, this is something when you go into like entrepreneurship, this is something that it's like you should have expected. Like, you shouldn't be surprised right now that this is going on because it's normal. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Homeboy is so right. Like, does it suck? Heck yeah. Does it make it suck less hearing that? Not really. But he's right. Like, it's part of the job. Failing is part of the job
Yeah.
when you own your own business. So
Yeah. So what would you say to like business owners or people who are thinking of running their own business? Like, what would you say to them, like, in regards to this? Like, what would be like your takeaway for them about, like, is it about like planning, is it about like prioritizing like your customers' trust? Like, what is like your biggest, like, I will not be the same after like learning this?
oh, that's a good one. There's a couple of things that, like, there's a couple ways I can answer this, I guess, but I think my biggest takeaway from this is that um I don't want to say you can trust people. You have to trust people. If you want to grow, if you want your business to grow, you have to learn to trust people, because there's no way you can grow without accepting the extended hands of others.
Right.
There's only so far I could I could only raise my
Right. And
hands
you
up
only
so
have 24
far.
hours in a day.
Exactly. So if you really do plan, and again, you guys, mind you, I'm speaking from a place of a small, like, I'm just starting. We're gonna turn 7 months soon. We're still 6 months in. I am just starting. I'm sure I'm gonna listen to this podcast in a year and cringe at everything I'm saying. But from right now, from where I'm at today, I'm learning that I do have to trust people a little bit better, but more than anything, I have to work on clear communication skills. I have to be very direct and very clear. Be very direct and clear, and don't be scared to be assertive at all. This is your baby. This is your business. This is your name. This is your face. Uh, don't be scared to be assertive. People that you're working with will respect that. If they respect you and they respect what you're doing, and if they're creatives themselves, they understand. They get it. They're in the same boat because they're running their own businesses too. So if I can say anything, is don't be scared to trust people, but on the same little um,
Thought.
thought, yes, uh, don't be scared to be assertive, and be very straightforward. Negotiate prices. Negotiate. This is business at the end of the day. There's like the front side of business, and then there's the back side of business. My mistakes came from the back side, not the front side. The back side involves numbers, and it involves confrontation, it involves negotiation. So I say just that. Just be
Yeah.
ready to be direct and clear
Yeah.
with
And
what
in
you
a way,
want.
not be afraid of, like, I guess what I'm hearing is like the dirty work, but like it's like the dirty work, but the necessary work in order to make the like flower bloom from what you're
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah, and honestly, I work with amazing people. Like, the people I'm working with, I love to death. It really was like something that wasn't in anybody's control, really. Like the ink chemical reaction like this, like, it happens sometimes. Just like sometimes, like, 20 of my nail sets may be amazing, but one of them may chip easily. Like, 20 of them were great, but one of them, like, something happened,
Right.
because it's life and nothing is ever going to be perfect. And that's also one to understand, is that be ready for things to go wrong, because they will. And that's because we are humans. And this, again, this is life. It's just how it works. Um, and just accepting that it's okay. Give yourself, oh, this is one last thing I'm going to say. I gave myself 3 days to feel sad about it, because
Right. And that's your rule in life, right?
yeah, that's
Not
my
just in
rule in life.
business.
Yeah, oh my God, that's so crazy. Yeah, you remember that?
Hell yeah, I remember that.
Want to tell them what it is?
Oh, your rule you were about to say?
Yeah.
That you, when something happens, you give yourself 3 days to be sad about it, and then on the fourth day you get up and put yourself back together and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
To paraphrase.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's really my rule. That was my rule with relationships, but that's also now my rule with like business. So whenever something bad happens or something unexpected happens, I give myself 3 days to just be sad about it and not feel guilty that I feel sad about it. After day three, no excuses. You get up, you fix it, you make it happen, you make it work, you had your time. Like, keep it pushing, keep it moving, because life goes on. Everything spins, it's all spinning. So I can't let life go past me because of one little thing. Um, I always like to say, as long as I'm alive, there's nothing I can't fix. That's the only thing I can't fix. Once I'm gone, she's gone. You
Yeah.
can't bring me back. But if I'm still here, breathing, we can make stuff work. We made magic happen.
Yeah. Mm.
Ooh, okay, best friend. I want to ask you the same question now. What's your takeaway? If you can give anybody any advice from what your experience was and what you went through.
Yeah. Okay. So I think mine is going to be a little bit different from yours because you run your businesses like mostly on your own. You work with other people, but you are like the main person that like makes the decisions and drives the vision. And for mine, I was kind of in a different situation where I was but working like in a partnership with somebody. And I think before you go into any sort of partnership, you need to understand what type of how you work.
Oh
And
wait, I think I love that you said that. Let's clear that up. So best friend was in a partnership kind of business. I'm in a
right,
sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is one person's, of course I have teams that like a team that I
right,
work with, but I am like a sole proprietorship. That's how I run my business, and you were in
right.
a partnership. So just to clear
Right.
that.
I was kind of in a partnership with somebody where we both did everything. But we made decisions jointly. We worked on everything together. And so I think before you get into any sort of partnership like that, where you're halfway responsible for something or halfway invested in something and the other person is also half invested in something, I think before you get into any arrangement like that, you need to know yourself as like your, I don't want to say like your working style, but kind of your working style in the sense that you need to understand what is important to you. You need to understand like how much you're willing to compromise, how much you're willing to work halfway with somebody. Like for me, I realized that I need a lot of growing to do before I'm able to do that again. um either a lot of growing to do to prepare myself to do that again, or I need to prepare myself to do it alone.
Yeah.
um I think that was my biggest lesson learned. Even if you find somebody who compliments you very well, consider like what it'll be like to work with somebody. I still wish that I would have known like how invested I was going to be and what it would be like to share responsibilities like that with somebody, you know. So
Yeah.
just know yourself, I think, is my biggest takeaway.
That's a good one because I feel like oftentimes, I mean, we're in a partnership right now, right? We do Authentic
Right.
Amigas together, and I know a lot of friends go into business together, and some do amazing, and some end up losing their friendships and their relationships because of it. I'm
Right.
not saying this happened to you at all, because it's not the case with you, but
Yeah.
I've seen it happen with other people. So it's really important that I think what everything you said is just making sure that you know personally what you're looking for in that partnership, like just like you would in a relationship, right?
Well, also I was gonna say the other thing too is like, and never like underestimate how other people can help you. I'm not saying that they're gonna be like in a partnership with you like for your business, but like never underestimate, like just by vocalizing like, hey, like I'm new to this, like does anybody have any tips? Like you never know. Another thing about starting a business, which all business owners or entrepreneurs or anybody who starts any type of project will be able to tell you, is that like you learn who your real friends are. That's fucking real. I know, dude. That's super real. And when you start like a business like that, it shocked me who was placing orders, who was following us on Instagram, who was constantly like not even like placing an order, but just supporting my business and my project,
Yeah.
just with messages, with advice, with sharing our page. Like, you learn and you will be shocked at who will be there. So just vocalize like, hey, I'm new to this, like all support is welcome, you know, and be open to receiving that,
Yeah.
because people
Yes.
will be able to help you
Yeah.
in the most unexpected ways. Like, I had people telling me like, if you need help like getting something set up like online, like I've run online stores before, like let me know if you need help, let me know if you need help with photos, like if you ever need a model, like you'll be shocked. So
Yeah.
be open to receiving support from other people.
Yeah. 100%. Um, I have a okay. I do have a question. How do you move past your failures? Oh, did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. Sorry, I kind of broke up a
Yeah.
little bit, but you said
No,
moving
it's
past
okay.
failures.
Yeah, so how do you move past failures in business, in the business space?
Hmm.
How do you move past those?
I guess just, I mean, I think it kind of depends, like from person to person. For me, I was working full
Mhm.
time while also running my business, and like I said, I have like a career that's very important to me, and like I'm still building on that,
Mhm.
as like I would say like one of my primary focuses, um, and so for me, I think it was a matter of accepting it,
Mhm.
because it was very hard to accept at first.
So first acceptance.
Once I
Accepting.
accepted it, that was like the hardest part was done. Just accept whatever your failure is, like big or small, whatever your lesson that you needed to learn was. And maybe a lot of the times the lesson won't come until like later. You won't realize until later what happened there,
Preach.
you know?
Preach. 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 And
Um,
there's no timeline on like when that will be. There's no set date of
no.
like, oh, in a year, like I'll realize my lesson. Like sometimes it'll take a lifetime and you'll be like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's why that happened. Yeah.
Right. So just, I think just acceptance, knowing that, like trusting the process and trusting that there's a lesson to be learned there, and then just focus on whatever else you have, like whatever else is next for you, you know? Like I said, for me, I'm super blessed and like thankful that I have like a career that I love and I'm building. So I was just like, okay, like it is what it is. Like, I'm still working on something else for myself, you know? And just never letting yourself like be stuck.
Yeah, facts. And we always have something that, like, we always have something that's waiting for us. Always, always, always. No matter who you are, no matter where you think you are right now, if you think, like, yo, I gave 120% of myself to this, like, this is all I had, this is it, that's not true. There's always something that's there waiting for you. We just can't see it sometimes because all our focus is on one thing. But
Right.
if we take a step back sometimes and look at the larger picture, we'll be able to see like, yo, there's this whole other thing that I didn't even realize I could do, that I can make happen. So that's important to know, is that um you're never done. There's never, as long as you have um ambition and you are ready to move forward, there will always be something there for you.
Right. And everything that you go through is preparing you for the next step.
Uh-huh.
Every time that you reach a next level, a next phase, the things that you went through prepared you for it. Like, you were ready for every phase that you reach in your life.
1,000%. Yeah. Ooh, it's a
Mhm.
journey. It's a journey. I think a lot of our friends that do listen though are like entrepreneurs, and even
Right.
if you're not though, even if you're not an entrepreneur, I think there is a lot to learn from this podcast, and applying some of these things that we said into day-to-day life, like the partnership thing, right? Like when you go into relationships, like, yes, know what you want, know yourself first before going into a partnership, and then take some time to jot down what you're looking for in your business partner as well. um, Same thing with relationships, right? You want to do that too. And with my collection not going as planned, life happens. Sometimes things don't go as planned. More often than not, things don't go as planned. And
Facts.
just yeah, and just being able to say, all right, I'm gonna give myself 3 days. I'm gonna be sad about it, and then I'm gonna pick up and figure out how to make this work, or how to
Yeah.
say goodbye to this and make something else work.
Yeah, definitely. Also, real quick before we wrap things up, super want to give like a super huge shout out to anybody who's started their fucking business during a pandemic. You also, we have a lot of friends. We had a whole podcast episode on small businesses. If you haven't heard it yet, go back a couple episodes, you'll find it, where we talk about a bunch of our favorite small businesses, most of which are run by people that we know. I'm like super blessed to know all these people. So huge congrats to you if you started your business during the pandemic. I know a lot of people did. They took advantage of like this moment in time to make something positive happen, and super awesome, super proud of you. And anybody who's ever started a business, even if you're not running it anymore, super like word up to you, because that's a huge accomplishment. And just be proud of yourself, because we're proud of you as well.
Yeah, we are. You did that. You did that thing. And even if you didn't start your business in the pandemic, but you've stayed making your business run and function through a pandemic, shout out to you, because
Hell yeah.
it is so hard.
It's beyond trying.
Oh my gosh. Like, I actually just messaged some friends today and I just let them know, like, you started your business during like the most emotional traumatic time in our current world, and you made it happen somehow. Like, people that started businesses this year, whether you've heard it or not from somebody, like, you are the reason why some people were able to smile this year and still see some sort of light, because you inspired them in some way, right? Being like, seeing people starting businesses is kind of like seeing people, like seeing like a newborn baby, when when things are like tough and then a baby comes, it's like, whoa, like that is so beautiful. Like, that's what it felt like watching people start their businesses, and or not even just starting their businesses, but going out there and doing things they love, and start, trying new hobbies and things that they feel passionate about now. Like that um it was really beautiful and inspiring to watch, and we're both really thankful for you guys shedding that light
Giving
during
hope.
this, giving hope for sure, and inspiring the both of us. You, like, our friends hella inspire us.
Hell yeah, they do. I start crying.
Me too. Yeah, you guys, thank you so much. Authentic Amigas, we did it. We literally started this podcast because, I mean, we just fucking did. We wanted you guys to be together for a really long time.
Right,
And
we always have.
yeah, and this is what we decided to do. And that literally, I think it was like the day before we talked about it. The next day we ordered the stuff, and then they got here, and then we started, and then we were like, how the heck do we do this? We didn't even watch the entire YouTube video.
Right. And we're still learning. I literally still look up podcast stuff like every single day.
Oh, 100%. And this month I mean, no, not this month. Last month, personally, was the most draining month during COVID like season for me. I don't know if you feel the same way, best friend, but November was the most emotionally draining month for me. So I do, you know what? I don't want to apologize, actually, because a recent friend of me told me that oh, a friend of mine recently told me that I need to stop apologizing so much. And I think she's right. We should all stop apologizing less when we don't need to be apologizing. But basically, I was having a rough month in November, and I feel like they kind of reflected in our podcast. And I think that's okay. I mean, we're going through a pandemic.
I mean, this is real. Like, this is really, like, this is really us.
It really is what it is. We come on here some days and, like, we're not feeling our greatest, but we still come on here because we're authentic amigas, and then it's how we're feeling. So I want to thank you guys as well for staying with us and listening, because you guys really listen, and I could cry.
Oh my gosh. And Kevin, can I just acknowledge Kevin real quick? Val's cousin Kevin. Love him so much, miss him so much. I know he's listening, because there's a couple people that are super reliable that I know that they will always be there and always show up. And Kevin is one of them, and he's always listening to our podcast, always giving us feedback. Love him so much.
He tells us when we sound horrible too.
Like,
we
he keeps it real.
appreciate.
Keeps it 100.
He keeps it authentic. He's
And
like, you don't ask for it.
I'm dead. He's like, well, here it is. I'm like, no. No, I'm just kidding. But he always shows up for us, always listens. So I know he's listening right now. Last week we said that Val said if you're listening without the visual, then Venmo flow $5. And Kevin Venmoed me $5. I literally looked at my Venmo balance this morning and I was like, why did he send me money? And then I was like, oh my God, it's because of it was exactly $5. And I was like, dude, it's because of the podcast. Oh my God. And so Kevin, by the time that you're listening to this, just know that I sent you the $5 back. Okay. I'm like, and don't ever send me money again.
I'm dead. I'm so dead. Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you for everyone that's been listening. I know COVID season, we both know COVID season has been a really rough one. And like we said, you guys keep us pushing and keep that hope alive for the both of us. So thank you. We appreciate you.
Mhm.
Business failures, part 1, because I'm sure
Oh, there will be more parts.
we will do more because we are blessed enough to go through experiences and have these
learn.
experiences. Those are blessings in disguise.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week, y'all. Super grateful to have you here for another episode. We are looking forward to the end of the year. We have some content planned, fun content, I think, for the end of the year, fun topics for the upcoming episodes. So let us know what you thought of this episode on our Instagram or on our Twitter. And yeah, have a great week.
We should start taking guest speakers soon.
Oh my God. I'm so glad that you said that because I was going to bring that up this week too. If you are anyone who is listening and you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, freaking hit our line. We're going to keep doing things virtual, I think, for the time being, just until COVID chills. So you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up with us in Zoom.
And you don't even need big headphones. You can use your like regular headphones with the mic on them. Nothing crazy, and it's gonna be a good time. It'll be a good time.
And we'd love to just chop it up with you on the podcast. If you do something and you want to talk about it on here, hit us a DM. Tell us real quick, like, this is what I do and I want to talk about it, or whatever. We'll interview you. We'll have you on here. Like think of it like show and tell. Like, come on here and like talk to us about whatever. Like, I just want to talk to people.
It could even be like a gordo en la flaca type of thing. It could be like, it can be a show and tell. It can be game night. It can be literally
anything. We'll have 21 questions, like whatever.
Yeah, you just tell us like, I want to be a guest and this is what I have, and we'll come up with a good game plan and we'll make it fun. We'll make it great. It'll be a good time.
And we'd love to feature you. That's it.
Yeah.
Hit our line.
Like, best friend, take it from here. I lost my train of thought.
Hit our line. We wanna chat with y'all on the podcast. But yeah.
Yeah. Also, quick shout out to best friend for introducing me to LaCroix. If you have not tried LaCroix sparkling water, she looks like this. Fire. So good.
Super reliable.
Yeah. Very, very
always good.
Always hits with 0 calories.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Alrighty, best friend. Well, we didn't do a question of the day, but I guess a question of the day is: would you like to be a guest speaker on our?
DM us and let us know.
But I guess it could be that. Would you like to be a guest on our show on Authentic Amigas, where we keep it like snow, because snow is icy. That's what we are.
That's so random.
I try to make it rhyme.
Oh my God. Well, let us know.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Authentic Amigas. My name is Valerie, and you can find me at Valerie Pamela. That's my business. Just kidding. You can find my personal at S Valerie Pamela. You can follow all our social medias at Authentic Amigas. That's Instagram, Twitter, and then we have Facebook. No, we don't. No, we do not have Facebook, but I don't think we want Facebook though.
That's so weird. I mean, we could maybe one day. Who knows? Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. Sorry, Zuckerberg. You got us on Instagram.
I'm good.
But yeah, so you can follow us there, and then you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud,
Uh-huh.
and you can watch us right now. Right now, you can watch us on YouTube because I know we're gonna make it work. I know this is gonna work. We're manifesting it.
Yep.
And best friend, where can they find you one last time?
Oh yes. Okay. So I'm at Florencia everywhere. If you want to find me on TikTok, I hardly post on there, but I'm trying to do better. I'm at Florencia _ and that's all I got.
Well, we'll see you guys on the next one, and yes, we will see you because you can see us now.
To live the weight of the world, keep us still known.